All right, miracle cure or impending disaster. Okay, guys, if we look at the history of these weight loss miracle drugs throughout, basically the history that they've been around, we can go back all the way back to the 1930s with things like dinitrophenol, 1940s, amphetamines, on and on through the 70s, 80s, 90s, where we have, fen and those types of drugs that have all been pulled off the market. They were hailed as these miracles. People were losing weight. But then the side effects started coming in, and several years later they get yanked from the market. Now, what happens in the interim? Well, the company that produces it makes millions and millions, and in some cases billions of dollars, and many people are harmed. Some people very seriously. Some people even killed. And it's quietly pulled off the market. Maybe a fine will be paid or something like that. And so the question is, what about the latest miracle drug, this Ozempic, this semaglutide, these GLP-1 receptor agonists being used in the capacity for people losing weight? Now we are starting to see some cracks in the system. This brand new study that was just published looking at healthcare data showing that a 900% increase in the rate of pancreatitis, a near quadrupling of the rate of things like bowel obstruction, which can be deadly, by the way. In fact, there's some people that are speculating, people like Lisa Marie Presley, who recently died of bowel obstruction, apparently, may have been linked, and again, it's speculative, to her use of a drug like Ozempic. Also, there's things like gastroparesis, paralyzed stomach, where you're just vomiting and things like that. So the question is, and people will say, well, do the negatives outweigh the benefits? And I guess it depends on the patient, right? If it causes you to die, then probably not, right? And so we'll see what is the level of threshold before these things get pulled from the market. There's some people from the beginning said these things are eventually going to get pulled from the market, as would be the historical precedents. This is something that we've seen over and over again. There's no quick fix for this. Interestingly, some of the hormonal impacts, and people are always saying, well, it's all about calories, but then they put out a hormone-related drug. This drug purely has a hormonal effect, and yet it's working. So why would it only be about calories, right? So the interesting thing is consuming things like meat have a similar effect to these GLP-1 receptor agonists. High protein and fat content has an impact on these incretin hormones, which GLP-1 is. And guess what? It's physiologically appropriate for the food you're eating, right? Our body is pretty smart. It knows what to do with these things, particularly when we're eating food we're designed to eat and not some ultra-processed human pet food, which is being forced upon us. But if you're using these drugs and getting a physiological response as if you were eating meat or an appropriate food, but instead you're shoving in sugary crap and processed garbage, like so many people like to do, you have all these negative effects that are associated with that. Our gastric motility is supposed to slow down for meat because we're extracting all the nutrients. It's not supposed to slow down for Twinkies. Right? So when you have a slowed gut with Twinkies in your belly, guess what? That's a real problem. Anyway, this is, again, I think the lesson should be here is there's no quick fixes, guys. There's no shortcuts to health. You've got to put in the work. You've got to do the appropriate things. You've got to do the right diet. Be active. Don't be sedentary. Get out there and move. These are the things. Do resistance training. All these things are incredibly important. And the people that keep, the silver-tongued serpents that keep, plying you with their seductive talks of you've got a free lunch, you can eat all your cake and just take my drugs. It's a fool's. It's for fools. It's a trap, right? So realize that. Stop. I'll say this again, over and over again. Stop giving these guys power. Every time you participate in this, every time you buy the junk food, every time you get put on one of these drugs, these people are making a fortune, and they're just getting more and more powerful, and they're having more impact on your lives. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon.